so I never had like a certain custom a certain culture that stuck with me. But I would say it's there if you want to reach it. It's harder, obviously, in a different country, but there are communities you can talk to, and you can and you should retain the culture that you came with, and share it with other people.
We have one other question somebody sent out, and it said that one of you mentioned that, you know, it's no great thing being called a refugee. And what was meant by that? And how would you represent yourself? How would you represent yourself? I guess that would be a question.
By that, when you be not happy to, you leave your country, you leave your family. You have a great life in your country. You will be like, up and here, you become refugee, you go in the ground. That is my point of life. You know, when you become a refugee, means you become forced to become a refugee. You cannot become a refugee when you choose to be a refugee.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was that.
How would you represent yourself then? When people ask you about your background, what do you say? I'm just curious, you know, when you introduce yourself to people, obviously you introduce yourself to this group because we have a set number of questions in a certain way, but you know, you're just meeting somebody for the first time and they're asking you about your background. What do you say? How do you represent yourself?
It depends on the setting, obviously, but if they really want to know my background, I'll tell them my background. But there's I don't know if you guys can understand it though. Like it's like the word refugee to like a refugee person. To some people that sounds like a harmful word, like a harmful like word to call somebody like a refugee. Like yes, we are refugees, but it's not like a title that we chose for ourselves. It's like a title that you're given into like another country. So to some people that might sound harmful because once you call a refugee, that means you are below the normal population. So I can understand how a lot of people like they will like get offended when you call them refugees.
Can I say something?
Shoot, oh, yeah.
From the day I came in this country, and for a long time I didn't know the language and stuff, and then till now, I'll be honest, nobody called me a refugee. And when somebody meet me in the beginning and I introduce myself, what I'm introducing, or like, if they want more of my background, I will tell my story. Otherwise, you know, my name is Das, and I'm from here, and this one, you know, how long you've been here, and I will tell you, oh, we came this thing is here in this year. It's not a shameful thing to be have to say, but nobody does. Or you become a refugee, or you just become because of your husband was here, and I didn't have this question from anyone. I think because I'm in a wonderful town, wonderful people, and nobody cared if you're a refugee or you're, and how we came here, nobody cared, nobody asked. And that's why I'm really, really, really grateful for this. Yes, since Trump came, refugee came.
Second.
So one of the things that this is why it felt like, at least for me and my brother, it felt harder to talk about. Like not all my friends know, like really that, you know, refugee, or I tell them, oh, I'm from Iraq sometimes, but most of the time, when I'm meeting new people, I say Boise, and it's not because like I'm ashamed or anything like that, but it's because refugee has a negative connotation. Not even just like, even if you're, you know, you're talking to someone who's like ignorant or like hateful towards the subject, it's because because you are kind of perceived as a little bit less. And one issue that me and my brother had, and that's why, like, when we talked about this, especially my mom too, we didn't really like talking about it because we got this stream of like unrelenting kind of pity, that people would just be like, oh, I'm really sorry, and all that stuff. And that didn't sit well with us, because people from the Middle East, first of all, are intrinsically very proud. And my dad was a petroleum engineer, and he came here and he worked in an assembly line. And that bothered him too, and he came here because he knew it was safer and it was a better opportunity for us to go to college here. But definitely when I discuss it, at least, it has to be with the right people, and that I think it's not going to be like taken out of context, or somehow like people will feel, because everyone's had a hard life and people have had way harder lives than I will ever have. And I never liked the narrative of just like, oh, are you okay, or like, you know, what was that like, and
So I feel sorry for you.
yeah, that. So I would say definitely I don't go down that path. I've been in here for I've been in the States for 14 years. I never accepted or applied to any scholarships that related to any of this. I never joined any programs. My mom tried to get off food stamps as fast as possible because she hated the concept of being given something without, you know, wanting it or like earning it. So if there's any perception to like that I want to have a community about this, it would be like a communication about this is definitely we're in the scape that we're all equal, and then go from there afterwards, and especially avoid people who would like talk that way about the subject, because it's not productive and it's not accurate of the people.
Is there anything any of you want to tell anybody else, tell the people?
Just out of curiosity, do any of you, especially I know you're studying political science and stuff, do you have any book recommendations or things for either this subject in particular or in general, layman or academic?
Actually, there's a good book by Samantha Power. It's called Sergio, and it's about a person we learned about in our class actually. But I'm reading the book now, and this is a guy who went to Lebanon. He went to Africa. He went to a bunch of places that were like war torn, and he worked for the United Nations, and he talked about his approach to helping like refugees and stuff like that. And one of the first things he always talked about is believing in the dignity of the person, which is never look down on anyone who's in a different situation than you are. And he has a lot of international experience. I would highly recommend that. It's very detailed too.
Cool.
Anybody else? Some recommendations of things people can read, or maybe movies they could watch, or?
Well, that book actually has a movie of it.
Yeah.
If you want to watch that instead. The book is definitely better. But speaking of myself, I'd rather watch a movie. Do both. But no, like Sergio does a really good job. Like pretty much, I thought he did a really good job. Like telling like the inside of the Rwanda genocide in 1994. He did a really good job telling the story about that too. So. He does a good job telling like the inside of like all the genocides and like the life of a refugee. So that's a really good recommendation.
What was it called?
Soldier?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to say before we leave tonight?
This flight needs to get out
The
of
flies
here.
are in your face.
No, we really thank you guys for showing up, and this does show that there's support for refugees in Poland. So we really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
If there's-
Thank you.